about today. The storm. Hallelujah. Amen. And I'm sweating now. So, last couple of weeks, I found myself driving in the middle of multiple physical storms. Wind blowing, rain coming down, thunder, lightning, hard to see what's in front of you. One of the storms, Isaiah and I was coming back from North Carolina. We found ourselves in a really bad storm. Isaiah was driving, so it was the first time he had driven in a storm at that level. So I was a nervous wreck. I was like gripping my fake steering wheel because I was like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing. But he did really good. So we ended up stopping. And he looked at me and was like, yeah, I'm not driving the rest of the way. This is too much. So I took over driving, started pouring again. People, hazard lights are on, which is amazing. I haven't seen so many people do that. When you can't see in front of you, cut your hazard lights on, thank you. So you can see that person at these lights if you can't see their car. So people were cutting on. We were going 20 to 30 miles under the speed limit. It was raining that hard that you really should have stopped. But you know me being me, I'm like, I'm a driving. So we driving, hydroplaning, it's starting to flood. So we get across, we were in North Carolina, we get across the Virginia line. And we saw the clouds weren't as dark ahead of us. So Isaiah makes the comment going about we're about to pass these clouds soon and the rain is gonna stop. And I'm like, Isaiah, we can't run out the whole storm. You can't run away from the storm. You can't run through it. So he goes, no, Mom, every time you drive a little bit, it gets closer. And I'm like, okay, what up, Isaiah? So he insists that we gonna drive this storm. We gonna beat this storm. We end up beating the storm. We get across the Virginia line and no more storm. We go home, light rain, nothing crazy. So maybe a couple of weeks later, I'm driving, like last week, I was driving the work van, coming back, again, out of nowhere, pouring down, raining, wind blowing, can't see the car in front of me, hazard lights coming on, and it's pouring. I'm leaving Lynn Haven, but I get to Independence Boulevard, which is, a 10-minute drive, if that, and it stops. So I wasn't sure if I drove through the storm or if the storm just stopped. I wasn't sure. So me and Regina driving to one of the accounts, and we're talking about how bad the rain has been. And all of a sudden, I can't remember if she said it or I said it. I was trying to remember what I was writing this, and I couldn't remember. But one of us said, and we drove through the storm. And all of a sudden, both of us stopped. And we looked at each other, and I'm driving, I'm looking at her, and we was like, oh, that's more than just physical. We was like, we just said something right there. So we started talking about all the storms in the Bible and all that stuff, and I was like, I gotta speak Sunday. I was like, if God will give me nothing else, this is what it is. So, Regina, it is what it is, because he didn't give me anything else. So I say all that to say, the storms in life will come, but you gotta keep driving.
Yes.
You gotta keep driving.
Come on.
So, and then I told the storm, we talked about that song in the car, and I hadn't got it out of my head, so I was Lord, I know I shouldn't sing and speak, but I'm gonna do it because you won't take the song out of my head. So that's why I sung that song, because winds are gonna blow, things are gonna happen, but you have to tell that storm back. Keep driving and look at it in the distance. And it was so funny, Isaiah was so serious about it. And I was like, well, shut up. No, we're not gonna go. It's gonna rain the whole way home. And he was like, no, you look at the clouds. The clouds aren't dark over there. We gonna get through it. See, every time you drive, we get closer. And I was like, Isaiah,
yes. Yes.
Be quiet and let me drive this. And just so happened, we started going closer and closer. And I was like, oh, this little boy was right. I never hear the end of it. But that's where I got this from. It's just all the storms. I don't know if you all have experienced it, the physical. Lately, the rain has been extreme to the point where it just all of a sudden pours. And that's what a lot of us are dealing with in our lives. All of a sudden, it's pouring. So let's talk about storms. A storm is defined as a violent disruption of the atmosphere with intense winds and usually rain, thunder, lightning, or snow. but the loud noise of the storm.
Yes.
The rain is consistent. The thunder is loud. The lightning is scary. It doesn't matter right then that it's temporary or will not last forever. Right in that moment, it's a disturbance.
Yes.
It's a distraction.
Yes.
It's an irritant.
Yes.
It's a bother. It's a nuisance.
Yes.
It's a pain. So let's go to Matthew 8:23-27. Jesus calms the storm. Alexandria, where you at?
Yes.
You got it? I know I ain't tell you gotta read, but you gonna read.
Okay, hold on.
Mrs. Kenzie, go ahead and get Mark 11:22-24. You gonna read that one for me?
You said Mark what?
Mark 11:22-24. See, Elton, I'm just as bossy here as I am at work.
Yeah, I see it.
You want to read? Okay, we'll get something. I'll give you one to read too, okay? All right, Allie, go ahead and read that one.
Then Jesus got into a boat. His disciples also went with him.
Louder, baby.
Okay, I said, then he got into the boat,
There we go.
and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake, and so that the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
To 27.
Oh, yeah, right, sorry. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us, we're going to drown. He replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and waves, and it was completely calm.
One more.
The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and waves obey him.
Thank you, Allie. All right, get her Matthew 7:7. We're going to get to it. We're not there yet, but just so you have it. So this was a physical storm that scared the mess out of the disciples. The same disciples that just had seen Jesus heal many. They had literally just left from him doing miracles. They were scared and nervous. They did not know how to handle it. They panicked in the midst of the storm because it was too much for them to handle. How many of us have been there? I wish I could raise my feet too. I know I felt that there was no way that I could survive the pain, the hurt, the judgments, the situation, the problem, the circumstance, that it was too much to handle. I just wanted the pain to be finished. And I might be by myself with this because you might can deal with when your life turns upside down. I can't.
Come on now.
I can't. And let me be honest. Some of us are sitting right here today, feeling those feelings, not understanding how to move through the storm. Feeling like that there is no way that this storm will ever end. That you will not make it through this season, through this situation, through this storm. But I think we all forget. I forget. God is right there. He said, you of little faith. We need to say us of little faith. Me of little faith. We let our flesh believe that something in this earth can destroy us instead of learning or leaning on our faith. Because our Father made this earth, so nothing on this earth can do anything that he does not allow it to do. Amen. Knowing that our Father controls everything and everyone, sometimes we have faith until it gets real bad. And then we lose our faith and put on doubt and mistrust. Mackenzie, give me Mark 11:22-24.
And Jesus
Stand up.
And Jesus answering said unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things he shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he said. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them.
So, Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you are receiving it and it is yours.
Amen.
How many of you all really believe if y'all told a mountain to go into the sea, it's going to go into the sea? I had to think about that for a second. I had to say, God, does that mean my faith isn't where it's supposed to be? Because I don't think if I would tell a mountain to move into the sea that I would really believe that would happen. Whether I prayed about it, because in my mind, that can't happen. That's not possible. But in God, all things are possible. So we have to make sure that our faith is where we need our faith to be. Have faith in God. I know it is easier said than done. Because it's hard to ignore what you see and what you feel. But we all know that faith is the substance of things hoped for. And the evidence of things I didn't see, I don't see it. It ain't there.
Come on now.
Ain't, Shanti, I'm sorry. Ain't, can I say ain't? Thank you.
Come on.
It ain't there.
It ain't there.
So, faith is an action, a verb, something that you must work on and build up. It's a muscle that you must work on, work out, so that when the storm comes, when you really got to tell that mountain to move, your muscle, your faith, your strength know, I told that mountain to move and it's going to move. But we got to work on that. It's a muscle. It's something, it's an action. You know who your daddy is, and you rely on the faith in him, not the faith in yourself. They woke Jesus up, and he calmed the storm. They had to wake Jesus up, but all we have to do is call on him. Call on the name of the Lord. Joel 2:32 says, and it shall come to pass that whoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. I purposely picked one that didn't say saved, because if I'm delivered, I'm saved. But delivered has so much more meaning than saved.
Yes.
Delivered means whatever I'm going through,
Yes.
whatever the problem, whatever
Yes.
the
Come on now.
situation,
Yes.
he got it.
Yes.
So it's more than this scripture is more than about him giving you salvation. Yes, salvation counts in this, but it's more than that. Sometimes your deliverance is just a call away. God is just waiting on us to open our mouths and ask for his help.
Yes.
And believe and have faith that he will do it. You got Matthew 7:7?
Yes, I do. You said Matthew 7.
Yep, 7:7.
Sorry.
That's my new little nieces, y'all.
Given to your
You
seek
seek.
and open,
Nope. Right here.
you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you.
Good job, Mommy. I love that she was not nervous to do that. Keep that energy. That is amazing.
Amen.
We get so stuck in the storm that we forget that God is right there waiting
Yeah.
and willing to help. It's sometimes just a prayer away, a worship away, a leap of faith away. We just need to open our mouths and ask,
Yes.
seek, knock, bang. Because I know sometimes I got to bang, make sure he heard me. You know, God will get his knock, but sometimes I'm like, you heard me, God. So he's waiting for that. But what happens when the storm does not calm down? Or God does not answer in the way you want him to answer? Personally, I have prayed to God and asked, what is the purpose of you allowing this? How does this make sense that you didn't stop that? This storm just does not make sense to me, God. I do not see how I'm getting out of it, through it, and why you even allowed it. There are so many people having that same dialogue with God. From the kids, from these shootings in schools, I can imagine the prayers that these parents are having to God. God, why my baby? Why wouldn't you stop him at the door? So I understand that the dialogue to God, and side note, talk to God like you talk to somebody that you're in a relationship. This dial, all that extra, he don't need all that. Talk to him as if he's your father. That's his role. Your daddy. I whine to him like I whine to my daddy. Y'all know I whine to my daddy. Daddy, I need some money. But anyway, they know I'm not lying. But I whine to God like I whine to my father, because I know he hears me. He hears the pain. He knows the need. Sad note. But anyway, so could there be a purpose? Matthew 14:22-33. Jesus walks on the water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land. Oh, yeah. Okay, buffeted by the winds, because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink, crying out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand, caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the winds died down. Then those who were in the boat worshiped him and said, "Truly, you are the Son of God." The biggest difference between the two passages of scriptures for the disciples was Jesus wasn't in the boat this time, and then Peter decided to get out of the boat. They felt that they were all alone. But Jesus showed up in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the violent disturbance of the atmosphere. The storm was a distraction, an irritant, a bother, a nuisance, a pain for the disciples. I read a blog by Carlo Works that said, "This story is meant to reveal who Jesus is. But that revelation is only possible in the midst of the chaos." If Jesus had not forced the disciples to embark on this uncertain journey, they would have missed the opportunity to see God revealed in the midst of the storm. We must go through the storm sometimes to see God revealed in the midst. In the midst of all the chaos is God. In the midst of all the pain is God. He is right there with us, but sometimes we forget and we miss that he's right there because we're too distracted by the storm. We are looking around distracted and worrying about the clouds, the rain, the wind. Dee probably worried if a branch gonna hit one of her cute cars. The waves. And you don't see Jesus standing right there. It reminds me of a poem. My cousin gonna give me. Reminds me of the poem, "Footprint in the Sand." One day, I dreamed a dream, and I was walking across the beach with my Lord. Across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene, I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand. One belonging to me, one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand and noticed that many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times in those storms, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decide to follow you, you walk with me all the time. But I noticed that during the saddest and the most troublesome times in my life, the storms, there were only one set of footprints. I don't understand why. When I needed you the most, you would leave me. You know, Jesus don't talk to us in the same energy we talk to him. He whispers. He whispers, my precious child, I love you. Will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testing. When you saw one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Amen. Peter got out to go to Jesus, but got so distracted by the storms and started to focusing on the wrong things. He was focusing on the wind, the rough waves, the rain, and forgot to focus on Jesus, who was standing right there. Even when he lost focus and started sinking, Jesus was right there. The storm had not stopped. Yet Jesus was right there in the middle of the storm. Showed up right when they thought it was over. When they thought that the whole ship was about to drown and they were going down. Right when we think that we're going down. We need to keep our eyes on God's purpose and his plan. We must keep praying and reading our Bibles, even when we don't want to, and it's hard to do. The storm has taken all of our energy. We still must focus on God. Daniel went into the lion den, a storm, and prayed his way through and was delivered. Job lost everything, a storm, and kept his faith in God and received more than he had lost. Joseph was sold into slavery, storm 1. Put in jail, storm 2. But continued to believe that God had a plan for his life and ended up being second in control of Egypt. Paul was put in jail, storm, and he prayed and sang hymns, and the doors flew open and the chains came off. There was an earthquake, so he had a storm, and another storm freed him from those chains, even though he didn't even leave at that point. We must stop focusing on the storm and focus on God and his purpose. No storm lasts forever. Not even during the flood. It stopped in 40 days, a month and a half. Now the rain stopped, but what did Noah have to do? Wait. Sometimes we must have faith and wait on the Lord. I cannot tell you how long you're going to have to wait. I don't know how long I got to wait. Or will I have to wait? But I know God is saying to keep driving. So I'm telling you, keep driving. You might not think that you can drive out of this one. This one might, I know he did it before. But this one, I don't think he's going to let me drive out of this. You will keep driving. It feels like it's too much. Keep driving. But ask God to reveal himself in the midst. And remember, Romans 8:28 says, and we know that all things God work for the good for those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. Pressure makes diamonds and wine. So let God use your situation, your problem, your circumstance, your storm. Let him use your storm for his glory, for your growth. Let God show you who he is and his power in the middle of your turbulence. Dory from Finding Nemo, y'all know I'm a Disney baby, says, let's keep swimming, let's keep swimming, let's keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Huh?
Just keep swimming.
I'm just like, huh?
Just keep swimming.
What I said?
Let's.
Sorry. Really? Sorry, just keep, I'm gonna sing it again. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. I'm saying, just keep driving, just keep driving, just keep driving, 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 which translates to just keep praying, just keep praising, just keep fasting, reading your Bible and believing.
Come on. Amen.
Because if you just keep moving in the direction that God has you going, there is always a purpose in the pain. There is a purpose in the storm. So keep driving until you are out of the storm. And in the meantime, know that God got you and He's in control. Amen?
Amen.
Y'all know I get y'all out of here early. Praise God.
Amen.
Just keep praying. Just keep pushing. Just keep believing. How many of us in a place in our life we gotta just keep pushing?
Amen.
Just keep pushing. And there's a sign over here. It said, pray until something happens. Pray until your breakthrough comes through. As we're standing together, it's so transforming to know that God had this thing put together. Because we talked about this in Wednesday night Bible study. And we followed up today, we talked about it again in Sunday school today. The fact that God never leaves us, nor forsakes us. As a matter of fact, He's with us until the very end of the world. Now, I too was going through those storms, Christina. And like she said, sometimes people are pulled over to the side of the road. Sometimes you gotta pull over. Get yourself together. But I heard my mother say last week, and we said it again, a week before last, we said it again in Sunday school, when you're going through, like Christina said, ask God, God, what is your purpose in this madness? Why am I here? What are you showing me? Because whatever you have for me in this storm, I want to get what you have for me. Just keep praying. Just keep fasting. Just keep believing. Just keep reading. God has your breakthrough on the way. If you're here today, if you're under the sound of my voice today, you say, you know what? I'm going through those storms. I've seen the rain, and the rain is hitting my windshield to a point where I'm frustrated. I'm mad. As a matter of fact, I'm cussing folks out, and I'm drinking too much, or drinking at all, whatever you want to call it. But I'm having problems in my life, and I found myself, I'm hitting a brick wall. If that's you today, you've heard your word today. Your liberty, your freedom has come today. Just keep on pushing. Oh, you may have failed, you may have messed up. You may have slipped a little bit, but just keep on pushing. God has your breakthrough is on the way. Now, this is what I want you to do.
Thank you so much for joining us today on YouTube. Subscribe to our page to receive alerts. If you would like to be a blessing to this ministry, you can do so using Givelify. Download the app and tap, give, and done. Look for New Horizon Outreach Ministries at 1575 Cary Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia 23502. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.